I'm your host, James Yoder. It's the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports. I want to take some of your questions from our live Michigan football show. We have about 10, 12 minutes of questions. All the people using hashtag Michigan in the live chat. But also, if you're on demand, you want to ask a question, you want to get my attention, I'll search our comments by hashtag Michigan throughout each week. And maybe we'll feature some of those in the show, which we do from time to time. To start off today's show, I want to make sure you guys know that every time you like the show, it helps us out with the YouTube analytics, stats, etc. YouTube sees likes as a vote of confidence that they can show this video to other people that maybe have never seen the show before, and that allows us to grow. It's kind of like free marketing, so it costs you nothing, and it really helps out the show. So if you can, give this show a like, either the live show or if you're watching this mailbag that we're going to put on the channel this weekend on demand, go ahead and smash that like button. John Crandall, super chat extraordinaire. I want to make sure everybody watching sees this helmet. It's kind of like the John Crandall helmet. You see all the John Crandalls on there. 150,000 super chats. John Crandall, Rick Harford, Javier Gregson, D-Cap, Wolverine, Alaska, coming in hot today. Some guy tossing 60 bones as well. John Crandall says, will JJ make the single season passing TD record for Michigan this upcoming season? Jeff, this is probably a graphic we should just have going forward. Let's put that on there on our list to have that in the graphics inventory, because I think it's one from a perspective of a fans everyone should just kind of have up to go to when we see it. So where it shakes out a single season is I thought JJ would break it this year for sure. And if you look at his last 3 games, 8 touchdowns, you extrapolate that over 13 games on average. I mean, he'd be into the 30s of touchdowns. But where it stands now, Elvis Grbac and Chad Henne, 91 and 2004 with 20. That's in the half season, right? Oh, no. 25 touchdowns in a season, still Michigan's football's all-time record. That is kind of preposterous to think about in 2023. There's like 37 quarterbacks, 38 quarterbacks, something like that, last season, had they played for Michigan, would have the all-time TD record. That's kind of how crazy it is. JJ McCarthy, 22 touchdowns, right? He's tied for 6 in a 3-way tie with Chad Henne in 2006, Shea Harrison in 2018. So the list goes Grbac and Henne, 25, Navarre number 3 with 24, Chad Henne again in 2005 with 23, Shea Harrison in 2019 with 23, then Henne, Patterson, McCarthy at 22, Elvis Grbac, John Navarre, Devin Gardner, right? All with 21. That kind of rounds out your top 10. It's really a top 11 because of the 3-way tie at 11. I think he will, because I think Michigan will get better in the red zone passing game. And I think Colson Loveland will start to separate himself as a red zone threat that Michigan has really honestly struggled to have probably since Jake Butt, right? In 2015, 16. That's kind of crazy to think about. They haven't had a true strong tight end in the red zone since then. So John Crandall, I'm going to say yes. Let me know what you guys think, how JJ McCarthy will do from a touchdown perspective, or if he will at all. Net Meg, she says the first game she ever went to was the 1969 Michigan-Ohio State game. I think it was Don Moorhead was the quarterback. How many years in a row do we have to beat Ohio State before it's no longer an upset, serious question? I think it's this year. Clearly, the last 2 years were upsets because Ohio State was favored by a touchdown or even more. I think it was 7.5 points both years. And they were the number 2 ranked team, where Michigan was 5 and then 3 in 2021, then 2022. But let's not get it twisted here. Unless Michigan loses multiple games, and Ohio State with a new quarterback just turns out to be a juggernaut that's even better than the team they had this year or the last year, Michigan's going to be favored this year, and they're going to be expected to win this year. And if they don't win, knowing what we know now, 2 straight wins, the crux of that team coming back, Ohio State breaking in a new quarterback, Ohio State losing, quite a few of their best players. If Michigan loses the game in 2023, it will be considered a bad loss. And Ohio State's surprised us in the past. They really have. They come out of nowhere with teams. 2019, I didn't think they'd be that good of a team. End up being one of the best teams in Big Ten history. Lost to Clemson in the CFP. But Justin Fields turned out to be an unbelievable college quarterback. Could Kyle McCord be that for Ohio State this year? We'll see. But if Michigan wins this year, it won't be an upset. And I think that'll kind of shift it'll be an entire generation of players. It'll be 4 straight years that'll win for Ohio State. And Ryan Day will drop to 1-3 against Jim Harbaugh. And after that, 3 straight wins. That's a winning streak, folks. And Michigan will have taken over this rivalry. Today's Michigan Football Report is presented by Fume. Folks, we all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard they can be to kick those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. I didn't expect much out of Fume when I got it, but the minty sensation is really powerful, and it really hits the back of the throat. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors for you to enjoy: maple cherry, crisp mint, and white cranberry. You can just take it out, see that thing. It's called a Coors. You pop it out of the package right there. You put it in this bad boy. You go, whoop. Fume is not a vape, but it is a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use the code chatsports, no spaces. That's tryfum.com/chatsports. Save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack when you use promo code ChatSports. Tryfume.com. Get an additional 10% off your order today. Get going, Fume, sponsor of today's Michigan Football Report. I've got this Fume in my hand, and when Jack brings it back on screen, take a look at this bad boy. Look at it. It's a naturally diffusive device. It's not a vape. I'm going to take a little. I don't know if you can see that, but it's something there. It's not nicotine. It's not anything like that. Tastes pretty damn good. And since I don't smoke, it kind of gives me a little contact buzz. About 20, 30 seconds left the last 10 minutes. And actually kind of feels like pretty good. It's pretty interesting. Try Fume, tryfume.com/chatsports. Robert Paulson coming in. This is an interesting question as I'm reading on the screen. 10 years from now, what does college football look like? Jack, we've got this tweet, so go ahead and throw it up because it kind of correlates to this question from Brett McMurphy. It's from yesterday PM, and it's happening right now. Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff, whatever his name, Kliavkoff, is visiting SMU in Dallas, about 10 minutes away from where we're at in downtown Dallas, our studio. They're a little bit north of us, 10 minutes or so. Sources told the Action Network San Diego State, SMU are the top Pac-12 expansion candidates. Pac-12 needs more members, more inventory, media rights. Dallas, the top 6-7 market, 5 market maybe. This one wouldn't make much sense to me. I don't know. SMU and San Diego State, that seems like worse than Rutgers, right? That's not a good one. SMU doesn't sell out games. It's not a very big team in the Dallas market. It's a very expensive school. Their alumni are very passionate, but I don't think it makes any sense with the Pac-12, so I don't think the Pac-12 should do it. But if they do, okay, I guess that's kind of how things shake out. If anything, SMU should be in the Big 12, but everyone's trying to get into the same states: Florida, Texas, California, etc. 10 years from now, what does college football look like? It's a really good question, Robert. Just thinking off the top of my head, I think NIL will be probably more defined and more, upfront, less shadowy figures, offering crazy deals that they, back out of, like we saw with Florida and the quarterback that asked out of his letter of intent. I would guess that top 20 or so teams kind of separate themselves, and it's really the same group of 16, 18, 20 teams is basically in that 12-team playoff like every single year. There's like the haves and the have-nots. I also think there's at least 1 or 2 conferences that completely get dissolved. I would say Big 12 or Pac-12 are the top candidates there. Maybe those just kind of dissolve, and we got 4 power conferences of 16, 18, or 20 teams each. And I think that at some point, the NCAA, the state legislatures, and the schools are going to kind of have to come to some sort of unified agreement that says, if we're going to do NIL, name, image, likeness, it can't be pay for play, where it says, hey, you're guaranteed this. It's got to be true name, image, likeness. And if that means like Michigan's got something that's, okay, every player gets $100,000 or something, and then if you're a star player, you can get more, like Corum, JJ McCarthy, etc., from an actual endorsement deal, that's fine. But I think it's too shadowy right now. I would guess at some point, every team will just start having some sort of payroll, and every player will get part of it. It's $100,000 a deal, and we've got this marketing department that'll help you negotiate contracts, talk to companies, and if you're the starting quarterback for Michigan, you can make $3 million a year because we've got a car dealership and Gatorade. Whoever else is ready to sign you to a big deal, but you got to work for it, right? It's not just pay for play. You got to do commercials. You got to do social media promotion. You got to go show up at the car dealership, all kinds of things like that. But I think the most impactful thing will be name, image, likeness, a little bit above board, and then at least 1, if not 2 conferences straight up just do not exist at all. Cornelius Conamore says, who will be the defensive MVP next year on this Michigan football team? It's got to be Will Johnson for me. I think he's going to be one of the best defensive players in all of college football. If I were forward projecting, I'm going to say Will Johnson is going to be a first-team All-American twice. 2023, 2024. He's got 2 seasons left at least at Michigan. And I bet, honestly, he's going to be like one of these LSU guys or Ohio State guys. He's a top 3, top 4, top 5 pick in the NFL draft 2 years from now, 2025 NFL draft. Blake Corum, Michigan's defensive MVP. And the defensive MVP from last year, Mike Sainristil, is going to be in the same backfield, at least my defensive MVP. And I think it's going to be a great secondary as long as they can find that second cornerback. This year is a big opportunity for Michigan to get 3 straight wins over Ohio State. The first time, I'm a little back down memory road. Jack, do you know the last time Michigan beat second-ranked Ohio State 2 years in a row? Do you know what happened the third year? No, you don't, because you probably weren't even born yet. The last time Michigan beat a top 2 ranked Ohio State team and then won 3 straight was 1995 and 1996. And what did they do that third year? Ohio State was ranked number 2 in 95, Michigan won. Number 2 in 96, Michigan won. They weren't ranked number 2 in 97. Michigan was ranked number 1 in 97. That third year, Michigan won the national championship. So last time Michigan won 3 games in a row against Ohio State and in a national championship. Last time Michigan beat a top 2 ranked Ohio State team back-to-back years. The third year, they won the national championship. So I am a big believer in the best predictor of the future is just looking at the past. In the past, Michigan beat Ohio State back-to-back years, number 2. That third year came back and won the national title at home, just like they're going to have this year. Beat Ohio State again. Give me some boasts in the comments and in the live chat. Charles222 says, James, what's your take on the EJ Holland versus Scam Webb beef? I told Jack to take this question. I'm sending a message. See that question pop up about there one because I had somebody DM me and screenshots, and I don't have. I subscribed to one of these for a couple weeks just to check them out when they started last year, but I didn't think it was worth my time, so I don't have a subscription to either one of them. But I had somebody send me some screenshots, so let me just kind of break it down for you guys. So Sam Webb, WTKA, 24/7 Sports, calls himself the Michigan Insider. EJ Holland has been on the Michigan recruiting beat for On3 and formerly Rivals for 2 or 3 years, to my understanding. Okay, cool. Holland seems like he puts out more content. Webb seems like he's been around more. And they've got a budding rivalry of who's the recruiting guy. Right? Webb apparently has been trashing Holland to recruits' parents when Holland gives them bad grades. And it, I guess, blew up in this past week. He had Jaden Davis's dad on and said, there's another recruiting service that doesn't think your son's a top 100 recruit. There's another recruiting service that says your son is committing in the next 2 months. I'd like to give you the opportunity to tell them that's crap. And he basically baited the dad into saying this. EJ Holland, from what I saw, came back and called Sam Pam Webb. He called him Pam. What a name, Pam Webb. That's even better than Scam. And they've gone back at it. Apparently, they've been going out at it for about a year or two behind the paywalls. I don't have much of a takeaway on it. It seems like it's pretty juvenile, pretty elementary. I don't know why you're involving recruits' parents. Seems pretty unprofessional, but what am I to say about professional? We drank beers and throw money around on a live YouTube show. But I will say this, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I've always considered Sam Webb. I think he's a schmuck. I don't think he does a very good job. From what I've heard, he's pretty lazy. And I think he's an access journalist, which I hate, which means that he just wants to go to the games. He just wants to sit. He wants to, rub elbows with Harbaugh any chance he gets. He wants to, call players by their nicknames and text a recruit here and there and getting good with the dad. And in exchange for all that, he is willing to report only positive things and only what he is instructed to by those people. So he'll do whatever recruit's dad tells him to write about him. He'll do whatever article Michigan wants positive press out there. I think that's not journalism. That's kind of like communist state media, and I don't like that. That's why I think Sam Webb probably needs to retire and find a new career, because access journalism, I think, is one of the great killers of truth in this country. So I think Sam Webb, I consider him an enemy because of his approach. And so if EJ Holland is his enemy, then he is the enemy of my enemy. That makes him my friend. I'm Team EJ Holland. Damon Harper, I was looking forward to seeing Donovan Edwards start this fall with Corum and Edwards split carries. I don't think it's a good idea for Donovan Edwards to be the starting running back this fall because back-to-back seasons he has been injury-prone. Now, you might say Blake Corum has been injury-prone too. He missed 2 or 3 games in 2021. Had to really not be a big part of a couple other games. Only got, 1 or 2 carries against Georgia. Only 4, 5, 6 carries against Ohio State. One was a big one that put Michigan inside the red zone. But missed a couple games there. Was hurt for the last 3.5 games of this year. Donovan Edwards was hurt last year. Was hurt for 3 or 4, 5 games this year as well. So I think Michigan, they both need each other because neither one can stay healthy for a full season. But Donovan Edwards, we saw in the Ohio State game, he has breakaway speed like Michigan hasn't had since maybe Tyrone Wheatley at the running back position. Michigan needs that. He also might be Michigan's best wide receiver, even though he's a running back. But I don't think Michigan trusts him inside the 15 or the 10-yard line. I don't think that he can get those carries inside the 5 to score touchdowns like Blake Corum has done as well as any Michigan running back outside of Mike Hart in my lifetime. So I think the play is playing both as much as humanly possible. Get the ball in their hands both 15 times a game, but give those 15 carries to Blake Corum running the ball. Give Donovan Edwards his 12 carries, but 5 catches, 6 catches. I really think that that's where it is. Get them on the field for 15 to 20 snaps a game. You don't always have to give one of the ball, but make sure the defense has no idea what's coming. Michigan needs an innovative offensive approach, where sometimes it's been a good offensive approach. It has never been necessarily one that has kind of caught people off guard with too much regularity, and I think that Michigan has the opportunity with all the talent they have this year on the field. Donovan Edwards, Blake Corum, start Corum. Edwards, basically call them co-starters in the backfield for Michigan. Let's hear them, guys. A completely random Michigan football player. Completely random. Just off the top of your head, I'm going to do it. Alan Branch. Alan Branch, Michigan starting defensive lineman out of Nebraska. Completely random Michigan football player. How about another one? Marcus Ray. 1997, 1998, first-team All-American safety. It's been in the Michigan media here and there. I think he had a radio show in Ann Arbor for a while. I haven't heard from him in a while. Let's think of another random Michigan football player. How about Doug Dutch? Came in as a wide receiver, ended up as a cornerback. Spent like 5 years as Michigan football program as like a really highly rated recruit. Never did anything. How about Max Martin? Remember Max Martin? How about Mr. Simpson? A couple running backs that came in. People thought they would do stuff. Never really did anything. How about Sam McGuffey? Completely random Michigan football player. Let's see. Cody Monfrey. Was Cody one of our winners? Cody, did you miss it earlier? You just popped in the live chat. Cody, we're doing a cut here, so we'll talk to you in a second. But hit me on Twitter. Email me, James@ChatSports. Cody, you were winner of one of our prizes. We did a super chat giveaway earlier in the show. Cody Monfort, Rick Harford as well. Rick, I don't know if you saw you won, so make sure you guys email me or DM me on Twitter, James@ChatSports or @James Yoder on Twitter. Name a completely random Michigan football player. Shane Forzier, I don't know that name. A-Train from Rick. How about Ernest Shazer? Was a first-team All-American in 2004. Decided to leave early for the NFL. Had 1 year of eligibility. Didn't get drafted. I never heard from him again. It's 20 years later. Never knew what happened of Ernest Shazer. Javier Gregson, the $80 super chat guy. My man shows up, drops 80 bones on us, then hits us with the question, who's going to be our number one wide receiver this season, and who do you see stepping up wide receiver-wise? Well, I think the number one wide receiver is going to probably be Cornelius Johnson. I hope that breakout game against Ohio State, 2 touchdowns, 170, 180 yards, is kind of a catalyst for him to be JJ McCarthy's top target. He showed some really nice routes. I think he started to feel comfortable with himself as we got later into the season. Now, I'd love to see more out of Roman Wilson, but he didn't play that many snaps this year. Tyler Morris is one that keep an eye out for. Played with JJ McCarthy in high school. When Morris was a sophomore, McCarthy was a junior, they won state championship level players. And then McCarthy ended up transferring to IMG because he was afraid that COVID was going to shut down the state of Illinois' football season in 2010, et cetera, et cetera. One name I'm forgetting, and I just feel like an idiot now. Jack, if you could maybe check if you could look at it. I put him as our starting wide receiver 1. I just can't remember the name off the top of my head because we've been live. Now, Cornelius Johnson. So I've got 3 starting wide receivers in my spring depth chart. Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson, Darius Clemens. Yes, Darius Clemens. Sorry, out of Oregon. That's the name I've been forgetting. So Darius Clemens is the chance to be the wild card. Top 100 recruit out of Portland, Oregon. Pick Michigan on signing day. And from all, kind of consideration, was ready to kind of explode last year. Absolute freak, et cetera, but didn't really prove it on the field. Tyler Morris is one that he got into the game, right? If you saw him kind of creep up in the game down the stretch of the season, Tyler Morris has that connection with JJ McCarthy. So keep out for one of those guys. I think one of those two will be Michigan's third wide receiver, kind of the outside guy. Roman Wilson will stay at the slot, and then Cornelius Johnson will be the other outside wide receiver. Folks, you are watching the live Michigan Football Report Q&A. I am your host, James Yoder. We just took your questions for about the last 10, 15 minutes. Going to put this cut up of these questions up on the channel on Sunday. So if you missed the live show, we went live 5 o'clock on Wednesday. So this is a couple days old if you're watching over the weekend, but nevertheless, the content is all evergreen and fresh. Shouldn't miss anything out on there. If you're watching and if you have to subscribe to the channel, probably means you missed the live show because mostly it's for subscribers only because they get the notification. Subscribe to the channel. We're approaching 26 1,000 subscribers, the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports. We're wrapping up our live shows. We'll be back with live programming end of February, early March. We want to appreciate everyone who subscribed and super chatted to the show. Appreciate everyone who has watched.